Third and Short by Fools with Fools. As the newly appointed academic decathlon team of Midtown High ascends the Washington Monument, Mr. Harrington's heart drops into his stomach. He looks around him at his charges, confirming his worst fear. "Where's Peter?" he says, panic lacing his voice. Before he can get another word or panic thought out, the elevator begins crashing and he can hear the cables breaking. As a teacher in charge of a group of high school students on an overnight out-of-state trip, Mr. Harrington will testify that this is bordering on, if not the worst, situation he could be in. It doesn't get much better, however, when, amongst all the screaming and chaos, a red and blue clad Spider-Man begins trying to kick in the windows. He can hear the helicopters outside whirring, loudspeakers shouting commands he doesn't have the bandwidth to process. All he knows is that the fate of him and his academic team, minus Peter, which is a problem for later, is now in the hands of Spider-Man. The elevator begins free-falling only until Spider-Man swings a web and holds it steady, saving them all from certain death. All MJ can think is, isn't Spider-Man from Queens? Maybe Peter really is Spider-Man. This thought is cut short by Spider-Man crashing through the roof of the elevator, landing on the floor with a very painful-sounding groan. He's swinging webs and talking in an obviously fake, deep, cool guy voice, which she is not buying. Liz Allen looks like he's her Superman, her Prince Charming, and she's just some damsel in distress. Ned is, of course, enthralled by Spider-Man's appearance, and Flash seems to be going through emotional whiplash, still focused on the trophy. As Peter heroically saves Liz Allen from certain death, Friday has the nerve to tell him that this is his chance. Like he ever had one, she's Liz Allen, and his adrenaline is way too high with the whole almost dying thing. And then... oh. And he's falling down an elevator shaft. Par for the course, he supposes. Once everyone is settled and out of immediate danger, Mr. Harrington and the kids take stock. Mr. Harrington for his life and job, and the teenagers of something else. Did you guys notice that Peter was here and then nowhere to be seen when Spider-Man came to save us? And how does he only swing around in Queens until Peter Parker has a competition in DC? Liz asks MJ, Ned and Abraham. Peter went to look at some other stuff, Ned stutters out. He missed decathlon, Liz accuses. What if Peter really was Spider-Man? That'd be insane, Abraham says. Ned laughs nervously. MJ stays closed-lipped. Good news, class. After a somewhat disastrous trip that some of you were on to Washington, D.C., the school has decided to let us have a make-up field trip. Hopefully one that doesn't almost give me a heart attack this time. He chuckles. We're going to Stark Industries. The entire class erupts in oohs, ahs and cheers, except for Peter, who is caught completely off guard. Oh God. That's where his pseudo-dad Tony Stark lives. And that's where he interns. Oh, God. Oh, now we finally get to see Parker at his internship, Flash puts in air quotes. Some of the kids around him laugh. A few of them, though, suspect the truth about his internship. He's a damn Avenger. Hey, kid, how was school? It was fine, Peter responds in a squeaky voice, shrugging slightly and setting his bag down on his workbench. I'm unconvinced, Tony says confidently. What happened? I just got some news that threw me is all, but don't worry, I'll be fine, Peter replies. Well, I'll know to be fine because if it isn't, I'll make it fine. Tell me what happened. Tony continues whizzing around his lab, picking up parts to build something he hasn't even thought of yet. I just found out that my science class is going on a field trip. Oh, well, you can just not go if you don't. Here, Peter interrupted. Here, Mr. Stark repeated, stopped in his tracks. There's a brief pause while Peter nods. You're going on a field trip to Stark Industries, Tony asks with a flat tone, almost in disbelief. Apparently, Peter sighs. Ha! Tony yells. Oh, that's great. Bring me your permission slip. I'll sign it right now. Tony laughs, resuming his work. Peter reluctantly pulls the paper out of his backpack and hands it to Mr. Stark, who signs it without reading it. It's not funny, you know. Oh, I know. It's very funny. Okay, class, don't forget this is the last day to turn in your permission slips for the field trip in. Oh, Peter, stay after class for a second, Mr. Harrington says. Peter's face drops. He never gets told to stay after. He's not a bad kid. Peter, I just wanted to talk to you about your permission slip. I saw you had Tony Stark sign it. I know you like to keep up this lie about your internship, but forging a signature is not something I can let slide. I'll give you another chance, bring this back with your aunt's signature, and I'll still let you go on the trip, okay? Mr. Harrington hands the paper back to Peter, who takes it with a sullen face. He knows no one believes him when he says he has an internship with Stark Industries, because why would he? He's just some nobody sophomore. Everyone knows the youngest SI takes are interns who are in college, usually in their final year. Okay, yeah. Peter leaves the room and catches up with Ned. Why'd you have to stay after class? Mr. Harrington didn't think the signature on my permission slip was real. What? Why? Who'd you have sign it? Mr. Stark signed it, Peter semi-whispers. You still keeping up the Stark internship lie? Flash interrupts. It's not a lie, Flash. Well, I suppose we'll find out soon, won't we? Flash gives a smug grin. Yeah, we will. And when Tony Stark knows Peter by name, you're gonna look so dumb, Ned blurts out. Ned! Peter hits his backhand to Ned's shoulder. Sorry. Peter, if we run into Tony Stark on this field trip and he so much as looks at you... Whatever, Flash. Tony Stark doesn't deal with high school tours. Just give it a rest. God, Peter thinks a rest sounds pretty good right about now. The day of the field trip comes around and Peter is anxious and stressed. Peter prided himself on using his free time to edify himself, either by patrolling as Spider-Man, studying, or even building and learning from Mr. Stark. He walked off the steps of the bus, gripping the straps of his backpack until his knuckles were white. Aunt May's platitudes about being positive and making the most of things seemed to have little effect on him, or at least not as much as they usually do. Ned turns to him and begins speaking, breaking him from his trance. It's gonna be good, dude, he reassures. Yeah, for sure, Peter replies, hoping maybe if he says it enough, he'll believe it. Okay, guys, listen up. Mr. Harrington projects over the voices of chattering students, getting their attentions before stepping out of the way for their tour guide, a petite blonde woman in an SI polo, and a taller brunette man standing next to her. Hello everybody and welcome to Stark Industries. My name is Georgia and I'm going to be your tour guide today. My friend Sunny is going to pass out your ID badges, and then when we go inside you'll scan them. This will determine where in the building you can go. Sunny begins yelling out last names in alphabetical order, and Peter's classmates file up to receive their lanyards. Now I want to emphasise to keep these badges safe. If you lose them, I cannot help you. Georgia enunciates clearly. Security will escort you out and you will not be let back in. Now I'm going to have everyone go through the metal detectors one at a time, and then you'll scan your badges. Everyone scrambles into some form of line, with a few people doubled up so they can talk to their friends. It doesn't matter what order you go in, it doesn't have to be alphabetical. Flash's, of course, at the very front of the line, and Peter, Ned and MJ, by nature of where they were standing, ended up behind him. Flash goes through the metal detector and it lights up green. Eugene Thompson, security clearance 1, the robotic voice says. Ned goes through the same green light and security system. MJ's experience doesn't vary. Then it's Peter's turn. He takes a deep breath in, anticipating the stares and confusion. He knows that although he's been issued a new ID, because it's attached to his name and picture, that his information will still pull up in Friday's system. Peter Parker, security clearance level 10. Everyone turns to him, in different stages of shock and awe. Peter offers a rough smile and a half-hearted chuckle before putting his head down and moving to stand next to Ned and MJ. Georgia, Sonny, looks confused. Even Mr. Harrington is taken aback. "Peter, why do you have such a high security clearance?" the teacher asks. Just 'cause of my internship?" Peter shrugs and responds meekly. "An internship wouldn't give such high security clearance," Georgia chimes in. "There's only like 3 or 4 people with a level 10 and one of them's like Tony Stark himself," Sonny adds incredulously. Peter pauses, unsure of what to say, so as not to give away his secret identity. He panics when a voice chimes in from the middle of the group forming around him. "It's probably just a glitch," Liz chirps out. "Yeah, the computer probably just got messed up," Ned adds, before pulling Peter away deeper into SI before the interns can interject. They shrug it off and lead the rest of the students through the security checkpoints. Once inside, Georgia heads up front of the tour with Mr. Harrington, while Sonny takes up the back to make sure no one gets lost. Okay, so this is, of course, the lobby, designed to keep the limited floor space in mind and still feel larger than life. Ned pulls Peter away by the arm, still walking with the group. "Close one," he whispers. "They've got to be catching on to me by now, and what's with Liz helping me?" "Excuse me, pay attention please, boys," Sonny instructs. "Sorry," they both say in unison. "Where's Mr. Stark?" Ned says even quieter, eyes facing the front. "Why would he be here?" Peter quietly whispers back. "To prove to everybody your internship is real." Peter sighs. "He doesn't know they think I'm faking. He'd make a whole thing about it." "Maybe he should. It'd get Flash off your back." Peter just shrugs him off. Okay, next we'll be going to see where some of our interns do their work, but let's be quiet so as not to interrupt their work. "Hey, Peter, maybe you'll see one of your friends here," Flash mocks. Peter sighs and keeps walking. "All right, everybody, if you look through the glass on your right, you'll see our research and development interns working on their projects. Have you guys been given the information about applying to our internship once you're in college?" Before anyone can answer, one of the interns looks up from her projects. She makes eye contact with Peter and begins smiling and waving at him. Peter shyly waves back, trying not to draw attention to himself. Everybody turned to see who she was waving to. "Why is she waving to you?" Flash asks. "I work with her," Peter says calmly, like it's not a big deal. The girl in the white lab coat gets up from her workstation and opens the big swinging glass door. "Peter, what are you doing here?" The girl in the white lab coat, presumably Rebecca, according to her name tag. "Becca, hi, how's the project going?" "Oh, good. The lab report is killing me, though." "Least favourite part of the job, I get it." He laughs. "You know Peter?" Mr. Harrington asks. "Know him? He's my boss," Rebecca laughs. "Your boss?" Liz asks. "Yeah, he's in charge of all the R&D interns," she replies. "Are you on a tour with your school?" "Oh, yeah, this is my physics class." "Well, hello, Peter's physics class." She turns to Georgia. "Do you guys want to see some of what we're working on?" Georgia seems flustered. We're normally not allowed in the workrooms. These kids are only level 1, she explains. "It's fine. Any friends of Peter's are friends of ours." Rebecca holds the door open for all of the students, who begin exploring immediately. "All right, don't touch anything, guys." Georgia and Sonny begin trying to reel students in, trying to minimise possible damage. "I can show you guys what we've been working on. Or, I suppose you can, Peter, since it's your project." Peter seems hesitant, but he moves in front of his class anyway. Yeah, so we've been developing some new tech, but it's pretty classified, so... He trails off before explaining to his class the new tech and how he and his team all contributed in different ways to build it, shouting out each member of the team individually and allowing them to explain their own personal contributions. Peter's classmates all had questions that the interns and Peter were happy to answer. Okay, I'm sorry guys, if we want to make the rest of our talk, we're going to have to get going now, Georgia says sweetly. Totally understand, yeah, Rebecca replies. Peter, do you want to stay here? Georgia asks, aware now that he outranks her. Sorry, I can't allow that, Mr. Harrington answers before Peter has the chance. Peter's here with the school. I have to make sure he stays with the group. Oh, yeah, totally. Georgia nods. All right, well, everybody say thank you to our R&D interns for their time. A chorus of thank yous rings out in unison, including a quiet one from Peter, now back with his group. Oh my god, Peter, that was so cool, Ned whispers as they walk down the hallway. Are you in charge of these people too? Ned gestures towards a different room with glass walls and people working within it. No, these guys are programs and software, I think. Maybe cybersecurity? He shrugs. Look at Flash, Ned suggests. Peter tries to subtly look around, looking for Flash's distinctive clothes, finding him walking solemnly in the back, avoiding eye contact with anyone. Peter allows himself a slight smile. They continue walking down the hallway toward the full-time research and development employees. So, Peter, do you think you can get us internships here when we graduate? Abraham jokes. Probably not. I'm not in charge of the hiring, and it's usually only undergraduate seniors and up. Then how'd you get the job? Flash shouts from the back, frenzied. I guess I just impressed them and they made an exception. Peter responds calmly. He turns back to the tour guide, satisfied that Flash has been proven wrong, even though it probably won't stop the bullying. So, do you think you can get Tony Stark to speak at graduation? MJ jokes. What? I don't know Tony Stark, Peter frantically defends. MJ gives him a knowing look and speeds up to match the pace of the rest of the group, losing Peter and Ned in the process. Do you think she knows? Peter whispers to Ned, uneasiness growing rapidly. God, he wants to go home. Maybe. I mean, Spider-Man does show up a lot when Peter doesn't. Alright everybody, we're now approaching the museum and gift shop, the last part of our tour. Feel free to look around the shop for a couple of minutes and we'll meet back at the bus. Peter breathes a sigh of relief, happy that the field trip is coming to an end. He survived the worst, now he just has to get through the museum for a few minutes and... Ow! Peter holds his arm, looking in front of him at the boy who just pushed into him out of nowhere. Flash, what's your problem? You're my problem, Parker. Peter looks around for a tour guide or employee to stop Flash, and of course, there are none. How'd you get this job? I told you, I just earned it, Peter huffs. No way, there's got to be something else. You've got to be hiding something, he asserts. What are you hiding, Parker? Huh? He steps closer to Peter, pushing Ned out of the way and closing the space between them. When we get back to school and out of this place, you're dead. What is happening here? A loud voice roars from across the large room. Every head turns to see the short-statured man in the doorway, clearly upset. Oh my god, it's Tony Stark, Flash says, eyes widening. Mr. Stark, Peter yells. I'm so sorry, it's nothing, don't worry about it, he spits out. That boy just threatened you, he roars. It's fine, Mr. Stark, we're just joking, Peter stutters out. It didn't sound like it. Tony glares at Flash. Flash backs off Peter and puts his hands up in surrender. Mr. Stark, it's such an honour to meet you. His words stumble out in amazement. Shut it. Tony puts his hand up to Flash. You messed with the kid. Get out of my building, he says with a straight face. Mr. Stark, I'm sorry if this is a bad time, but I'm Ned. I'm Peter's best friend / guy in the chair, and Mr. Stark cuts Ned off too. You took the tracker out of his suit. Ned's face falls. Oh, well, what suit? Flash asks. It is in this moment that Tony Stark, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, realises that he made a mistake. There is an intense pause, and everybody is silent in the large room, previously spilling with loud groups of teenagers chatting with each other. Just tell us, is Peter Spider-Man? Liz shouts. We kind of already know he is. MJ shrugs. What? No, what are you talking about? In DC, you saved us, and Peter disappeared. You're close personal friends with Tony Stark. She gestures. I mean, come on. Peter's face falls. Okay, yes, I'm Spider-Man, but please don't tell anybody else, okay? He begs his classmates. A chorus of affirmative responses rings out amongst the crowd. Peter breathes a sigh of relief. Okay, thank you. So, are you actually an intern here, or is it just a cover for the Spider-Manning? Liz asks. Sort of both. I brought him in because of Spider-Man, but when I saw his potential, I brought him on as an actual intern, Tony explains. In that moment, Mr. Harrington walks into the room, unaware of what has just happened, and announces that it's time to get back on the bus. So as everyone shuffles along, not so subtly glancing at the boy of the hour, Peter feels both a massive weight off his chest and also that he would give anything for people to never pay that much attention to him again. Peter and Ned take their seats next to each other in the back of the bus, and across the aisle, MJ takes her seat. So, is that why you got so buff overnight? She asks nonchalantly. Wait. You noticed that? Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Have a lovely rest of your day.